everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Two Peas in a Podcast, episode 22. We're in double digits. It's very exciting. But yes, we hope that you're all good. I hope that everyone's had a good week. Everyone's feeling fabulous. If you're not, don't worry. We all have our moments of blur, which I'm sure we're going to talk about today. But hey, there's always magic in every day. Yes, I am that girl. For those that don't know me, my name is Katie. I am based here in the UK, and my ever glamorous co-host is the fabulous...
Hi guys, I'm Jessica. I'm over here in America as usual.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this is episode 22 or 23.
Well, I'm sticking with 22, so we're having 22, okay? It's 22, so it's 22.
At some point, we might just stop counting because, I'm losing count.
Exactly. When we get into the hundreds of an episode, then we'd be like, yay!
Hey guys, this is episode 4,897. We're still here. Fuck the haters that thought we wouldn't be, right?
Hey, you never know. You never know. Bless you. But anyway, look, today I picked the topic, and there was no real reason for me to pick it, apart from the conversations that Jess and I have in private. But I felt really drawn to talk about health. Now, I know that we've talked about women's health before on a previous podcast. If you haven't watched that before, go check it out. I can't see what episode it is. Go and find the playlist. But I wanted to talk about it from mental health, physical health connection, and also to talk about our own experiences with health and mental health and how it's shown up for us. I will want to start by saying that obviously Jess and I are not professional medical people at all. We are not trained professionals in that we have no qualifications in the medicine at all. So everything is our opinion, our experiences. Take it with a pinch of salt. If you have any concerns, go and speak to your doctor. So that being said, what do you think, Jess? When I gave you this topic, what was your first kind of feeling about it?
Well, I mean, health has been a really big topic in this house recently, of course, with Milo, my son, for those that don't know, and his psoriasis. So it's just been on my mind constantly. I feel like every day, at least once a day, if not more, we're talking about something health related.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've really started talking about recently, you and I, is preventative versus cure. And I think that that's actually important for all health, like whether you're dealing with, whatever you're dealing with, preventing it versus waiting for it to show up and then cure it. I mean, I can't speak for everybody else, but I grew up in the South, and in a situation where maybe we were like not as wealthy or whatever. So I wouldn't say we were poor, but we definitely weren't wealthy. And health just wasn't something in my family that we took seriously, which you would think that we would because everybody had health issues. With the way that we eat, the way that we take care of ourselves, being active. It's just like, I'm not trying to call my family out, even though I feel like I do a lot. It just wasn't something that was talked about a lot. It was kind of just like it was expected for you to have health issues when you grew up.
Yeah.
And now that I'm older and I'm kind of taking care of myself and I'm taking care of kids, I'm way more focused on that, I've noticed.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, especially this week, it's been a real part of our conversation every day. And like I said to you, be proud of you for what you're trying to do. Because I don't know if you want to share what's happening with your son and what the conversations we've been having about that, because like you said, it was really interesting, and I think it really taps into this thing about the mind-body connection, but also the gut health connection with everything, which of course is a big thing at the moment, right?
Right. I'll share a little bit. So my son has psoriasis, which is an autoimmune disease. And when he was born, he had nothing that was going on with him. His psoriasis showed up probably a couple of years ago, and it was on his scalp, and he would get like plaque and like really what you would, if you've never heard of psoriasis, which most people have, it would be like dandruff, but 100 times worse than dandruff. So, you get flaky, dry flakes with dandruff. This is like literally a crust, like a helmet that would be on his head. We went to doctor after doctor, and then that's when we eventually found out that he did have an autoimmune disease, that he did have psoriasis, and that, doctors basically tell you this is going to be a lifelong thing. He's never going to get rid of it. He'll be able to manage it and maybe not have any symptoms going, but he will always have psoriasis. And so we would get like shampoos and oils for his scalp and everything, and it was like, whatever, like we would manage it. Sometimes it would be like he had nothing on his scalp, like there was no psoriasis. And then other times, like I said, he'd have a whole cap of psoriasis. Yeah. So I would just take care of it as it would pop up because I just didn't really know any better. And that was the advice I was getting from the doctors.
Mm.
Well, then this summer, when he went into summer off of school, I noticed that he started getting like these little marks and stuff on his body. And I was like, okay. And then I noticed that his psoriasis on his head started to weep, as they call it, which would be like liquid would come out of it. So he would wake up with mats of hair just like matted down, wet, crusty. And he had like sores on him, and I was freaking out, right? Because I'm just like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? So I took him to the doctor, and that's when we discovered that he had weeping psoriasis, and it was just a form of his psoriasis, and that he may have an irritant to something that he's sleeping in, like in his sheets or something. And they gave him creams and stuff. And then they recommended us to a dermatologist, and they put him on antibiotics. Now, he is on state insurance. And so, because I'm self-employed and insurance is incredibly expensive, and we qualify for state insurance, America problems. So you have to wait a long time to see doctors here in the States. And I know you have a similar issue there. It feels like it's a universal thing. So we were told like it was going to be like a month and a half before we would be able to see a dermatologist. And I'm like freaking the fuck out because my son has like sores all over his body. And I changed his sheets. I changed his shampoo. I changed his laundry detergent. I've changed everything. His soap for his bath. Everything has been changed. And we were just kind of waiting for the dermatologist where we could go. And I, of course, I'm asking him the whole time, like, are you okay? Like, is this itching? Is this hurting? And of course, my son, he has had a cavity before and told me he didn't feel anything. So I don't know if it's because he really does have a high pain tolerance or if it's because he just does not want to go to the doctor that bad that he's willing to suffer in silence. He's a Scorpio, so he's very stubborn. But when he just kept getting worse, kept getting sores. And I was like, so I eventually called up the dermatologist, and I basically, in the most politest, nicest way, refused to accept no for an answer. Absolutely. I said, okay, well, he's 9 years old almost, and he has sores all over his body. And he's waking up every morning with psoriasis, weeping psoriasis so bad that it's matting down his hair. So do I need to go to the emergency room because I'm not able to go to your doctor's office for another month? What do you suggest that I do? And she said, okay, let me talk to my supervisor and I'll be right back. And then they had me an appointment the next day. It's funny how they had no availability for a month and a half until they do. But hey, I'm grateful. We went, the psoriasis gave us all kinds of creams and medicines and everything. And basically said to keep up with changing, only hypoallergenic psoriasis or eczema certified brands and products, which is what we do. Put him on antibiotics again. So this is twice in just a few months, maybe like 2 months, if that he's been on antibiotics, which, as you know, that's not good for you to be on antibiotics like that back to back. It kills all the good bacteria and stuff too. So long story short, it's a whole story though. Went ahead and did everything, gave him the antibiotics. They had him on steroids, gave him the topical cream. We have a medicated shampoo that we're using. This boy still has sores that are showing up every single day. They start in the form of blisters and then they pop and then they become sores. Katie's seen the pictures. They're not pretty.
No, they're not.
They're very gnarly and it's disturbing. And I'm just like, and like every doctor is telling me that this is how it is. This is normal. And in fact, it's not just the doctors, because I've been on a lot of psoriasis forums. I've talked to a lot of people that have psoriasis now. I've been doing so much research and it is normal. Like that's what's sad about it, is looking like that is actually normal for psoriasis when it's bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we tried light therapy, which light therapy, it does not cure psoriasis because as of now, they have no cure for psoriasis. You're just managing the symptoms. So we tried light therapy. His dermatologist is like an hour plus 15 minutes, depending on traffic, away. We'd have to leave twice a week to go straight from his school, straight to the dermatologist, straight back. It's like a 2.5 hour trip round way. It was becoming very draining on me and him, and it wasn't curing his psoriasis, and he was still getting sores that were popping up. I'm just like, okay. So I had posted on my YouTube about this a couple times, just mentioned it, and I kept hearing the same thing, that I needed to look at his diet. And the more research that I was doing, I kept hearing the same thing, look at his diet. So I'm not going to put my 8-year-old on the carnivore diet, which I know that a lot of people have had a lot of success with that. And to be quite honest with you, Milo probably wouldn't mind the carnivore diet because he is a meat eater, but I just can't sit well as a parent not giving my son fruits and vegetables, which he does enjoy fruits and vegetables.
Oh, he does. He loves them, yeah.
He loves them. He has a carrot with every single meal pretty much. So I was looking for other diets and I kept hearing the same thing over and over again: gluten, gluten, gluten. And I had been told before that I possibly might have a gluten intolerance because I get really bad reflux, which I'm sure we might talk about during this episode. So I was like, you know what? After hearing that so many times, and then it's a mother's intuition. I can't really explain it. I have no facts,
Yeah.
But after watching so many videos, reading so many articles, listening to everybody's testimony, hearing from my own collective and clients, I'm like, okay, we're going gluten free. So it's not going to be easy transition. We've been doing it for about 2 days now. And it's not, he doesn't really eat a lot of bread, but he does like pizza. He does like chocolate chip cookies, and he does like ramen, which, rewind back to when summer started, I had this like click moment the other day when I was sitting in line to pick him up from school. I was like, he did start eating ramen noodles more when he went off of school because he's not home, or he's not at school, he's home and he's eating what he wants to eat. And I'm a chill parent. So I'm like, yeah, if you want to have ramen every day, have ramen every day. He's not only eating ramen. And that's when all of this started. And I'm like, is it possible that maybe that's what triggered this? So basically I have gluten-free flour and yeast. I'm going to try baking a pizza crust for the first time in my life. I'm not a baker. I am just a cook. But I'm going to try to do these things, and he's on board with it. And I'm making his lunch for school now. And we're going to give it a good couple months. We're not just going to quit after a month and say, okay, this isn't working. We're going to give it a good couple months and we're going to see. But that's basically his journey with psoriasis thus far. It's really not easy. He's constantly getting slathered up with creams. He's constantly having his mother stress over him and being like, let me look at your body. And poor guy. He seems okay. He's in high spirits. It's me that's a whole emotional freaking wreck over this. But that's pretty much it. I've never dealt with this with anybody. I asked his dad about it. His dad said nobody in his family has psoriasis. Nobody that I know in my family had psoriasis. I do get itchy scalp on my back of my head every once in a while, and I think there's might be flakes. So I think I have a very mild case of it, which means, I have it. But as a lot of people know, my mother, she was sexually assaulted, and that's how I came to be. So I have a whole half of my history a medical history that I know absolutely nothing about.
Yeah.
So people in that side of the family could have had psoriasis, and I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So that's basically it, guys. That's what we're dealing with right now when it comes to Milo. And I'm believing, I'm hoping, I'm manifesting that the gluten change is going to be what's going to not cure his psoriasis, because I don't think that's possible, but to make it to where he's not having any flare-ups.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? And that's why I wanted you to share this. Thank you for sharing that, because it is, they literally call the gut now the second brain. Right, this has been scientifically researched and studied and everything, and I still think that we don't fully appreciate how much gut health has an impact on our overall health. I really don't. I think that our main thing, of course, is normally we're in the West. Let's be honest about it. Our main thing is our weight, right, and our body image. And even now, people are still learning about nutrients and minerals and this. But it's gut health. I still think it's and there are people I know who've been on this pathway for a long time, but I think as a collective, I think it still feels new. It's very strange. It feels like some people are still learning about this stuff,
No, and you're absolutely right about that, because as I said, growing up, our health, it was not a priority. It was not something that we thought about. Even with eating our foods, I grew up in the South, horrible eating habits that I inherited, just absolutely horrendous eating habits. The way I eat now, my mother, bless her soul, would have never ate that way when we were growing up, because I've been more conscious and, of that now. So yeah. And what's crazy about it is everything. Oh, switches clothes, switches this, because now he's on boxers and not boxer briefs. Now he wears a cotton undershirt under everything. But nobody, not one doctor, not one single doctor that we've been through. Oh, my daughter's coming in. Asked us, what about his diet?
Yeah.
What is he eating? Do you think maybe we should test him for dairy allergies, gluten allergy, anything like that? Nobody has done this. Just here's a cream, here's a medication, cover it up.
Yeah, absolutely. My eldest son, has been tested. He's lactose intolerant. So any kind of dairy, lactose is a form of sugar that's found in cow's milk. So anything to do with that, he gets terrible stomach cramps and toilet problems and stuff. It's really bad. But yet it took a little bit of detective work and putting the pieces together. You feel like you're like Sherlock Holmes, trying to get the evidence yourself as a mother to try and kind of, because no one stops to think, hey, as a medical professional, your child has a lot of stomach issues. Maybe we should test them and see.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like YouTube University, as I call it, has taught me so much in life, and they're actually like people on there are the ones that are actually helping me. That and like the Reddit forums, this is helping me. I'm thinking that maybe we even need to go low dairy in this house. I mean, we've already pretty much cut out the sugar. I'm going to be a certified almond mom, but hopefully this will help me with my weight loss goals that I have. So I'm not really mad about it, but we have a dermatologist appointment, I think it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, one of those days. I have to check my calendar this coming week. And basically I'm going in there with a purpose this time. The last time I went to the dermatologist, I was just like, I don't know what to do. And I was at my wit's end. Like, I think he needs medicine. Now I'm like, okay, I think that we need to test him for his allergens. I want him to be tested for what he's allergic to. I want him to be tested for if there's a way to test for gluten intolerance. I'm sure there is. Can we do that? Because that's where I'm focused now, is his diet.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully the dermatologist, I mean, you said that she's pretty good.
Yeah, she's nice.
On board with that, and you guys can get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, and I think that it's, we don't have enough scientific evidence to say that it's linked, so psoriasis and gluten intolerance is exactly linked, but there's so many that have had such significant difference. It's kind of crazy to think that it wouldn't somehow be impactful, especially if you have some kind of allergy or irritant or something like that we don't know that he has.
Exactly. I mean, from my perspective with my own health, I know one of the big triggers for me is stress. So I don't have psoriasis. I have suffered in the past with eczema. And the worst it ever was, touch wood, was when my parents got divorced and we moved 2.5 hours away from my dad and had to start again. And I was literally covered head to toe in eczema. And I would wake up in the morning, there'd be blood on the sheets where I'd been scratching, even in my sleep. Like, it was awful. It was like chickenpox. It was so itchy and so dry. And trying getting creams and ointments and all these things. And the reason I know now that it's stress is because every time my life goes through severe bouts of stress, my eczema flares up again. So it's definitely a mind-body connection. And the last time it happened was when I was going through the breakup of my marriage. So for those that don't know, obviously, yes, I have been married. It's the twins' father. And we separated 2016. And he still lived with me for like a good 13 months after we separated, which was incredibly difficult, as people can imagine, for both of us and for the children. But we're trying to just kind of make it work. Because I'm such a, as Jess knows, a people pleaser, conflict avoidance, I make it nice. My trauma response is literally fawning. I make it nice, make it nice. So I'm doing my best to not fully like have the full-blown arguments and conflict, which some could argue was a good thing, but obviously we weren't really addressing the problem. And I'm a big believer that stress or any kind of really bad, quote unquote, emotion is like bubbles in a soda. Like, it will come up and out somewhere. So not only did I end up with an eczema flare-up, I also ended up with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, which I would get terrible, again, cramping and bloating. And I went to the doctor in the end. And God love that doctor. They're in the minority, I think, because she went to me, what are you going through in your life right now? And when I listed everything, she went, I think it's to do with stress. That will also explain the eczema. And I was like, huh. Like, I think of myself as a very intelligent person, but I hadn't put two and two together. And actually, yes, once the situation changed and things calmed down, so did those things with my health. So yeah, stress for me is a massive trigger. What's happening inside my brain will show up inside my body at some point.
Well, as they say, stress kills. And I know that you have blood. I don't know if you have high blood pressure, but I know you're on medication for it. Are you still on it?
Yeah, absolutely. Which, they kind of, people will link high blood pressure to weight gain. And yes, that is a factor. But even when I've been very, very slim, I've still had high blood pressure because it's naturally occurs in my family. My mom's side of the family, they all have high blood pressure, regardless of what weight they are. So yes, I am on medication to try and keep it managed. But I said this last time I went to a doctor about it, and I was getting it checked, and we were talking about it. I had to do a chart and everything. Oh, it was a pain. And he was going about my diet and my weight. And I tried to say to him about family history and about stress. And I went, stress is really dangerous. Stress can kill people. He went, no, it can't. I was like, you're a doctor. I said, yes, it can. I said, my mom's mom, God rest her, was a single parent with 5 children. She was a widow with 5 kids, trying to, have a job and try and keep everything going. And there was no social security back then. There was no benefits. And, and in the end, she passed away from a heart attack. And we genuinely convinced it was the stress of her life. It was too much in the end,
Yeah.
So it's just crazy. And stress is one of those things that's why the mind-body connection, I think, again, I know it's still being studied. I don't think it can be underestimated.
With my last job, that was probably one of the most stressful periods of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Even with making more money, which people act like money is going to solve all your problems and just make a whole bunch of money and you're going to feel great. Well, I was making the most money I'd ever made in my life, and I was the most stressed I'd ever been in my life. Literally the 2 days after I had quit my job, I had a doctor's appointment. And of course, they always check my blood pressure because, like you, I have high blood pressure that runs in my family. I have it. And my blood pressure was normal. I think it was the first time that I'd ever gone to a doctor's appointment and had my blood pressure normal. And I was like, I'm cured, right? And the doctor's like, well, just relax. They're like, but obviously there's a significant difference with you quitting your job. And this is like, because you were very stressed apparently. And I was, but just like you, I also had a doctor tell me that pretty much, and I don't know if this is encouraging or not. In a way it is, but then in a way it isn't, where it doesn't matter what you weigh, you will probably have high blood pressure because it runs in your family like that. And when it runs in your family, that's what it is. Plus, I'm half African American. I mean, that's what we assume because that's what my mom knows about the person. They can't really, all she knows is that he was extremely tall, he was extremely dark, and he had an accent. So she thinks maybe even Haitian was what he was. But high blood pressure runs. That's genetics. So being a woman, high blood pressure, being a African American, high blood pressure, it's just kind of like sometimes you're just doomed for it, but that doesn't mean that you still shouldn't work on it and you still shouldn't try to.
Absolutely. And again, this is where the prevention is better than cure. I mean, we both have medical systems in the UK and the US that is very based on the opposite. They're very based on cure. And so, the pharmaceutical companies, the drug companies make the $1 trillion industries because our societies are geared to, hey, here's a tablet. Hey, here's a cream. Hey, here's this. And I'm not saying that everything is preventative. Of course I'm not. Some things happen. And we had a family friend that literally was like a marathon runner, was very slim built, was very healthy, didn't drink, didn't smoke, really had a very organic, really took care of themselves and still has a heart attack and dropped down dead. Some things are not preventative. However, all that being said, I do think health is one of those things that we take for granted until it goes wrong.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree 100% with that statement.
And just because even if you're slimmer built and maybe the scale or your dress size is on the smaller side, doesn't mean that your health shouldn't be a concern, especially as you get older. I think the older I get, the more I'm like, I have to look after myself.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because like I had said already in this podcast, having health issues was something that was expected growing up. Like, my mom had diabetes, high blood pressure, COPD. I mean, high cholesterol, everything my mom had. My dad, he's not much better. He has reflux so bad that he'll throw up blood. Still eats whatever he wants to. Still will eat the things that he knows he shouldn't eat. And this is like not a knock on my dad. That's just a product of engineering, in my opinion. It's how you're created. It's how you're bred. It's how you're born. You have to consciously make the decision to change things. And with my own reflux story, I had really bad heartburn. It's gotten so much better now. Like my heartburn is so much better because I do know my food triggers, and I stay away from that. And to where I don't have to take heartburn medicine every single day. But at one point I had to take it every single day. And at one point my reflux was so bad, I couldn't swallow food. I couldn't swallow.
Yeah.
And dealing with the medical system, when you're trying to tell them, I need to see a specialist, I need help or something, I can't swallow food. And I remember I snapped one day in the doctor's office and I'm like, okay, I want to talk to whoever the fuck is in charge here. I was like, because I have had a referral that I've been waiting for like 2-3 months at this point. I can't fucking swallow food. I need to see this specialist. Can I talk to whoever's in charge? And at that point, they took me a little bit more seriously. And the nurse is sitting down. She's like, well, I understand you're stressed. I'd be stressed too if I couldn't eat. And I'm like, yeah, no fucking shit. Like, I'm trying to explain to you, I can't swallow fucking food. There's this problem. I don't know if I have throat cancer. I don't know what the hell is going to continue. My life may not matter to you, but it matters to me. So could you please get the fuck on the ball? I was so pissed, bro. And that's how I get when I'm pissed, guys. You just saw it. Okay? But I was so mad. went to the specialist, didn't have throat cancer, thank you, Jesus. I just had really bad reflux, and that can happen. I had no idea. So I've had to have my throat dilated several times.
Yeah.
Where they basically, and honestly, the whole experience isn't bad, I'm not gonna lie, because you get put out and it's nice when you wake up, you're a little loopy and it's like whatever, you don't feel anything, but it's not exactly a trip to the spa. But yeah, they basically put a balloon down your throat and they expand it and stretch your throat, insert joke here. And you know, and then you can swallow. And I remember after that happened, I was like, oh my God, I could eat again. But I had to go get it done several times. And then I started taking my diet more seriously. And that's when I saw real changes. I also had to have what is it called? Oh God, I forget the word of it, but it's basically where they put a tube down your nose to go down your throat to check the pressure of your swallow. I have never, and I'm going to tell you something. There is nothing more terrifying than a medical professional, a nurse, because in my opinion, nurses are tougher than doctors. So there's nothing more terrifying than a nurse grabbing your hand and going, this is going to be unpleasant. And if you need to squeeze on my hand, you can squeeze, but please do not hit me. I'm just doing my job. And he's like, and I want to let you know that I've personally had this happen before, so I know what you're about to experience. So I just want to let you know it's not going to be fun. And it wasn't. Was it the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life? Absolutely not. But having a tube shoved, they lube it up and they just shove it down. You're awake. They don't numb nothing besides the little lube that they put on it. It's numbing. Yeah, it sucks. So yeah.
I was just remembering, because you trigger memories, because this is what happens in this podcast. We trigger each other in a good way, I hope. I've had 2 medical procedures, apart from giving birth twice, which was, as we know, birth is so much fun. But I've had 2 medical procedures where it was incredibly painful. And the difference in the care that I received from the person doing the procedure was so wildly different, and it makes a difference in the moment. And I don't think all medical professionals fully understand how important it is to have compassion and empathy in that space. And we know that everyone's overworked. We know that everyone's short-staffed. We know that everyone's had enough. But again, like you said to that doctor, I may not matter to you, but this matters to me, right? And it's like, anyway, it's a thing. So the first one, and this is very personal and very vulnerable, but hey, we're going there. I don't care. Was I would have been 25, maybe ish, 26. I caught an STD. Now, it was not from, I was not being promiscuous, which is, can happen. And I was using protection. So there you go. Just for the naysayers out there. The guy I was with at the time, and it was a boyfriend, he didn't tell me that he had genital warts in his system. He was also had alcohol problems. So there you go. And he passed them on to me. And I did not know. And even with protection, you can still catch them because they're around the skin, around that area. So I went to the clinic on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, Katie. And had to have them frozen off. And yes, it is as painful as it sounds. And what was bad, and that's what I was saying about the care from the medical profession, is that when you say, and I know that, they got a job to do. Again, there was a queue in the clinic. I know they've got a job to do, but when you're saying ow, 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 and then you start to cry, and they just look at you and kind of go, I've got a job to do, I've got to get it done. There's no care. You feel so alone in that moment. I feel like nobody gives a shit, basically.
Yeah.
It does make the situation worse because you're already panicking. You're already in fear. You're already in pain. The lack of compassion and empathy, I really believe, talk about mind-body, I believe, again, no proof, just my belief. I believe the pain was worse because of how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Flip that to the opposite, where when I mentioned this a couple of podcasts ago, when I had abscesses. So I had about 3 in a row, I think, if you remember rightly. I had one on my arm, one on my back, and another one under my armpit. Apparently all came from overshaving. There you go, there's a warning. And they had to, again, pierce them and drain them. And it's incredibly painful. And I started to cry. And God bless this nurse, because she held my hand, and the doctor's at the back, and he's got the needle, and they're trying to numb it, but it still is incredibly painful. And I was crying, and I did something that I tell my clients never to do. I apologize for crying. And I said, I'm so sorry. And she said, you're not being weak for crying. actually crying is a sign that you're being really brave. And I'm really proud of you, which made me cry for more. I was like, thank you so much. But it was just, it felt like somebody had me. Somebody was there with me. Like I wasn't there with my mom or you, but this nurse had me. And it did make a difference, you know?
Oh yeah, that makes all the difference in the whole entire world. I was going to share one of my horrible nurse stories because it does make the difference. When I had Bella, my first child, I've always had really small like veins. Like it's really hard to draw blood for me. They actually had to use baby needles to get blood for me when they have to draw blood because my veins are just really small. And it doesn't matter how much they put that little band on me or they slap me or whatever, like the veins just don't come up. So they'll take from my hand because it's easiest. And so they were taking my blood and everything. And I was in labor, but not like to the point where I was in pain yet, but I was definitely like, it's happening. And they were taking my blood. And for some reason, they thought that somebody in labor with their first child, this was the perfect moment to send in one of the intern students to take the blood. Like, I get that they need to learn on the job, but can we choose a less critical freaking patient?
Not this job.
Like, I'm just saying, like, because when you are in labor, you can turn into Exorcist, like grab him by the throat, don't F with me, right? Like, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I was like, just kind of like, and I was scared, you know, my mom was there because I had never had a baby. So I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was just really like not in the greatest state. And they were taking my blood and this, and when I slipped and fell in the walk-in and hit my tailbone is the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. She went in wrong and hit my bone with the needle. When I tell you I saw spots and like fireworks in my eyes, like for a second, I don't even know what planet I was on. It was the most intense pain I had ever felt. It was worse than the fucking epidural that I had, where they put a needle this long in your back. It was worse than that. I jerked my hand away, natural response. And this, God, please don't call her a name. Just relax, Jessica, because I'm like, you are. See you next freaking Tuesday, okay?
It's individual, shall we say.
I was like, this woman, she got blood because I don't know how she poked the needle through her glove. I don't know how she just didn't know what she was doing. I don't know how that even happened. But she had poked the needle through her glove when I jerked away and actually ended up poking herself. And so screw the patient. She didn't care about me anymore. She was, oh my God, like, oh my God, AIDS. My mother was like, my daughter does not have AIDS, right? And the doctor was like, oh, no, she doesn't. She's not saying that. It's a procedure. And I'm, you know, of course, they teach them in medical school. You don't know what blood. But I'm assuming that it would be in my medical report if I did have HIV, right? And I'm pretty sure that would be something that they would discuss out in the hallway. This patient is positive for HIV. Be extremely careful. So while you're freaking out right now over your poke, I get, but at the same time, it's like, so I felt insulted because not only did I get poked in the bone and she completely like forgot about me and started freaking out, literally freaking out, running around the room. Oh my God, I might have AIDS. What if I have AIDS? My mom was pissed. My mom was not having it. She literally took the head nurse outside in the hallway and I saw my mom going like this, and this, and this, and this, and then talking. And I was like, she is pissed right now. Like, you know, like it was not a fun situation. So they let me calm down and they had another nurse, a professional, come in. Easy peasy, was done with it. But, you know, that was the worst nurse experience. Besides when I couldn't get that referral for my swallowing. That was the worst experience I ever had with a nurse.
It's funny because I had to go and give blood when I was pregnant with the twins because I'd had preeclampsia with Jack, my eldest. So they were keeping an eye on me, especially because it's twin pregnancy. So they gave blood. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I've got a big fat ass vein right there. So that's always the one that everyone uses because it's so prominent and it's really big vein. So it's right there. Everyone uses that one. But again, I had a trainee and I told her, I said, oh, you want to use that one? And she went, no, I'll use that one. Thank you. So she got my left arm and I'm like, it's not going to work. And she stabbed me and stabbed me and stabbed me and stabbed me. I ended up with a bruise of the width of my hand, the length of my hand on my arm. And then she went, we'll do the right arm. Okay.
And let me guess, it worked like a charm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how I am about this thing with accountability and ego. Like, you know, that is one of my biggest pet peeves.
Absolutely.
I cannot stand when your ego is bigger than the conversation, the room, the job, your dick. Okay? I can't stand when the ego is bigger than that. That was an ego thing for me. Just do what the patient says and put it in the arm that she knows works. What are you trying to prove here? Like, you're super freaking nurse of the world?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand people like that.
I know. And that's kind of the key point, is that no one knows your own body like you do. Nobody knows what's normal for you like you do. Right. Yeah. So they have all this training and they have all these notes and all these systems. But at the end of the day, each patient is individual and they know what's normal and right for them. Yeah. So you have to listen to the patient, you know. I was going to ask you a touch upon, because, you know, obviously the mind-body connection. And mental health is something that, again, you and I have talked quite a lot about over the years that we've known each other. And I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I will definitely put my hands up and talk about the black dog, as it's known. I have suffered from postnatal depression, postpartum depression, as it's called now, twice. And I've also suffered from really bad anxiety since I've been in perimenopause, which I hit last year after my hysterectomy. My mental health has been all over the place, as you know. Like, we were literally talking about this earlier. Like, it's a whole... I wouldn't say I'm depressed right now, because I know what depression feels like, but I also know that there's this... And people wouldn't know to look at me. That's the thing. This is very vulnerable. Nobody would know. If you don't know me well, you don't know. Because I am the gregarious, extroverted, make you laugh, Katie, that's who I am. But I also know that I don't feel like myself at the moment. And it's a very weird place to be, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate you being vulnerable.
Yeah, I know. I think it's important. One of the big things about mental health, I think, is the stigma attached to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they see it as, like, vulnerable and weak. But if it's like, how many people in their lifetime are going to have mental health issues?
Yeah, and it's funny because I literally had posted something on my YouTube the other day, but I deleted it because I do that often. I'll post something profound and powerful, and I'll be like, I'm not going to open up this can of worms, and I'll delete it. But basically about toxic positivity.
Yeah, so that one.
And it's actually really rampant in the spiritual community in particular.
Yep.
You can't be positive 24/7.
Nope.
You can't be happy all the time. Like, if your freaking house just burnt down, there's very little, unless you literally hated that house and everything inside of it, there's really very little to be happy about in that situation.
Let me do the spiritual answer for that, Jess. So your house has just burned down. Send you love and light. Everything happens for a reason. You'll see the bigger lesson in this at some point.
It may be true. I'm going to tell us a little bit of a story. So I was, when my mom passed away very unexpectedly. As we know, did not put, that was not on my list for 2023. And so I was reeling, and I had previously been talking to this guy, but we had since lost connection and we weren't talking. I really think that he was actually a narcissist because he saw that as the perfect time to come back into my life. And looking back on it now, you know, at the time I thought, well, maybe this is just a grand gesture and he feels bad that my mom passed away. He obviously is probably still watching my YouTube or watches it or whatever and saw that. And so he's reaching out to me. But now when I look back on it, I think that was just his hoovering and trying to figure out a way to get in. So he considers himself to be extremely spiritual, right? So he's the type of person that tries to see the higher perspective in everything. And so, you know, I was really upset and I was on the phone talking to him about my mom and everything. And he was like, well, you know, I don't understand. He's like, I don't understand why you're upset. He's like, you're incredibly spiritual. He's like, you know that the flesh is temporary. You know that your mom's in a better place now. If anything, we should be happy. We should be happy that she escaped. Like, I should be happy that my mom, and I was like crying. I was like, I should be happy that my mom passed away. Like, fuck you. I was so mad and everything. And we, of course, fell apart. I did not talk to him after that because it was like, this is why I don't mess with you to begin with. You're very insensitive and cold. And I need somebody who's warmer than that. Somebody who's human.
Yeah.
Because we're human beings being human, right? Yep. So it's like, yeah, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. So, you know, it's okay that if somebody passes away or you lose something or something bad happens to you, you have a negative reaction. So that brings me back to the toxic positivity, where it's like everything happens for a reason, love and light. You know, your vibe is attracting things to you at every moment. So if you're having bad things happen, it's because you're thinking bad thoughts. Basically, you're the problem here. If you would just think happier thoughts, you would have a better life. That is so toxic to tell people that.
It really is. I saw that quote a few months ago and I was like, it really did something to my brain. It really shifted something in quite a big way. It said, I can't remember who said it now, but it said, if you always see yourself as a problem that needs fixing, you will never be fully happy, which is the problem with the personal development, self-help, spiritual community, is that we're always doing the work. Now, what does the work mean? The work means that you take accountability, you face your shadow, you face your trauma, you do the healing, right? You kind of look at your toxic traits and you try and, find out why they're happening and what you can do about it. That's doing the work, and everyone should do the work. Absolutely. The problem is that the problem with the work is it never freaking ends.
Yeah.
Because there's always something, right? I mean, like Shrek, right? We are flans, we are parfait.
We're onions. We're not cakes. Okay? Shrek would never. Anyways, no, I agree. And that's the problem too, because like how many times have I told you that I'm watching a pick a card, which is, what's happening next? And they're like, oh, you're going to be going through a spiritual awakening. And I'm like, how many of these can I have in my freaking life? I'm over it at this point. I don't want to awaken anymore. Please leave me alone. Bother somebody else.
Times where I said to you, I think you're going through the ascension. You're like, again, another one.
Like, Katie, I love you, but don't be stupid, right? Like, we are not going through another ascension. But and I can think of like so many, and not to be shady, but I can think of several people that could actually use a spiritual awakening. Why don't you lay off of me and go worry about them? Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's something that with like mental health, feeling like you're the problem, feeling like, if you're thinking toxic thoughts or toxic thoughts, and that's what's happening is you're attracting these things. Or for instance, when somebody comes in and hurts you, and it's because there's something within you that needed to be fixed, and that's why this person showed up and hurt you because it's like, no, that person hurt you because they're a jerk. That person hurt you because they have problems. It's not necessarily your fault.
Yeah,
it's just so toxic.
It really is, and I know it well because, and I've talked about this before. I lived there for a while, and I can admit that now. I can put my hands up and say, yeah, I was falling into toxic positivity there for a while after I awakened, because it's so lovely, right? It's like unicorns and fairies and angels and rainbows, and it's like, it's so lovely up there. But human life ain't like that, bro. It's just not. Human life is hard, and to live in toxic positivity land, it's really, it's not only bad for you personally, it's also such an awful energy to put into the world. It really is. It's so, I mean, it's called toxic positivity for a reason, right? It just, you become an asshole. Even if you think you're saying the right things and you're doing the right things from a good place, you're still an asshole because you're totally bypassing the human.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, when somebody's house burns down, the response is not, well, everything happens for a reason and there's a lesson out of this. I just know it. And if you think positive thoughts, they're going to have a brand new house that's going to be delivered to you with a bow on it, rainbow unicorns crapping in the front yard. It's going to be amazing. The proper response is, I am so sorry that happened to you. Do you need anything?
How can I help? Yeah.
Can I give you canned food, blankets, a place to stay? Do you need something? I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's really hard because I'm on the fence. Like, I do believe that you can manifest destiny and you can have a self-fulfilled prophecy. I do think that you can, with your mind, bring certain outcomes and maybe even certain individuals in your life. However, you have to have discernment, because when you know that you've done the work and you know that you've learned the lesson, sometimes it's not necessarily about you. It's about the other person needing to learn something from the interaction or whatever. And of course, when you're the awakened one, you're always going to be processing and thinking and working on yourself, like you said.
You've said that to me before when I've been in that space, when I've been like, oh, maybe it was a lesson that I had to learn, or, whatever. And you said to me, maybe it wasn't about you, maybe it was for them. And I'm like, it's almost like and that's because we spend so much of our lives being so inwardly facing, right? Yeah. Most people are focused on themselves, which is what it is. And so if there's something happens, well, it must be me. It must be something that I've done. But actually, maybe it's not about you at all. You were just the one that got caught in the crosshair.
Yeah, because like, most people, a lot of people, I won't say most people, I haven't done a census or anything, but most people will sit here and be like, no, they were the problem. They were the reason that this fell apart. You and I and a lot of other spiritual people are like, no, there must have been something that I did. Yeah. Like, for instance, the innocent and guilty will remain nameless, but the last guy that I was talking to that I kind of felt I could be serious with, after that fell apart, I was incredibly guilty and blaming myself. I expected too much. I wanted too much. I am too much. And then I finally had a therapist say to me, Jessica, you just wanted to be talked to once every 2-3 days. That's not too fucking much. Like, what is, like, what's the standard here? Like, what is the standard? Like, you have to stop blaming yourself and beating yourself up and thinking that if you can just solve whatever you need to solve, some kind of a Rubik's Cube, suddenly you'll be lovable, you'll be likable, you'll be successful.
Absolutely.
It's exhausting being a human being.
Oh, well, that's the bottom line, because absolutely, that's what it all comes down to. There's a fine line, isn't there, between taking accountability for what's ours, but then also recognizing that not everything in life is ours. Because there's a wonderful thing in life, don't know if you've noticed, people watching this video, other people. The world's not just you sitting on it, right? There's other people, and they got their stuff as well. It's crazy, right?
I love that. Maybe like a couple other people, like you, my kids, me,
and
like
me.
You know, but I would like love that if there was just less people. That sounds so mean, but it's true. The world is overpopulated.
We know this to be true. We know this to be true. But essentially, I think the bottom line is, like you said, trying to keep as healthy as you can, whatever that looks like for you. And that's why we're not out here preaching about, you know, the carnivore diet or the paleo diet or any other kind of diet. We're not here preaching anything about anybody. You do you, right? And there's not one size fits all. That's the beauty of being human.
Well, I will check back with you guys in a couple months because I might be out here preaching about the gluten-free diet. If I see some significant changes in not only me, but not only my son, but me as well, we might be out here preaching about it.
We may be doing a part 2 to this podcast, this episode, so we'll have to wait and see. But right now, no, we're not doing a one size fits all because everyone's different. I think whatever it looks like for you, the key thing is to try and be as healthy as you possibly can and to take accountability for your health because it is your responsibility. But also if you are struggling, whether that is physically or mentally, is to don't sit there in silence and just hope that the problem goes away by itself, because problems don't tend to go away by themselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you need help, get help.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. You know that. I think everybody on this planet should have therapy.
Me too. Especially the people that say they don't.
Yeah, everybody should. There's nothing wrong with talking about your feelings with somebody and having somebody who's not biased and actually has some knowledge of human psychology mirror some things back to you and say some things to you. There's nothing wrong with that. I've had incredibly profound moments through therapy.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Also, I will say too that it's helpful to look into community type of situations like forums, online forums, like Reddit. The Delphi forums is a good one that helped me when I was quitting smoking.
Yeah.
Because you're not the only one that's suffering or going through things.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that it's a bit like eye roll for some people, but genuinely, I've had some amazing support in Facebook groups. Yeah. I mean, not everyone in the Facebook group is great, let's be real, but I have had some really good advice and some really good support in Facebook groups from people who are going through similar things. Like when I was going through my endometriosis, and I found a support group on Facebook. It was amazing because also everybody else in the group was also suffering from it. So it was like, didn't have to explain what it was. It was just like, you know, there was no, like, it was what it was. It was great.
Yeah. And you'll find people like especially in the, my forum that I was in for quitting smoking, you'll find that there's real life earth angels out there, like people who just because they've quit smoking, they don't just go like me I'm going to call myself out here and be like, okay, well, I'm done with this forum. Bye. Thank you for everything. I'm never going to talk to y'all again. But there's people who stick around, and that's so encouraging because it shows you that it's possible. Yeah. So like on these forums where I'm reading about psoriasis now and like the gluten link and all of this, like there's people who are on these forums that they've been on the gluten diet. They don't have psoriasis anymore on their body, and they're still there posting every single day, answering questions. It gives you hope in humanity because I've said it on this podcast before, reading comment sections online will make you hate people. It has literally made me hate humanity sometimes because of the things I've read on, comment sections, not mine on my channel, but comment sections in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
But those moments like that, where you find that the humans, like people are there for each other, that makes you just fall. I'm so easy. Right. I'm just back in love with humanity again. I'm like, it's
It's true. It's true. The right people, there's people out there that want to help, and keeping everything to yourself all the time and seeing it, well, I have to because otherwise I'm being weak and vulnerable. Yeah. No, there are people out there that will support you and listen and try and help how they can. Not everybody will, fair, but there are people out there. If it's just a case of going to find them,
No, I mean, being weak and vulnerable because you're having a human experience. Again, this is why we need therapy.
Exactly.
The therapist is going to say there's something in your childhood where you didn't feel safe. And now you're projecting that onto your life.
100%. And I recommend this to everybody, by the way. And when I'm doing my coaching and stuff, I'd literally, if you ever coach with me, I will tell you to go and watch this. So I may as well call it out now. There's a wonderful Netflix program, which is still on there, and hopefully they never take it off. And it's by Brene Brown, which is a name that some people will know. And it's called The Call to Courage. And it talks all about vulnerability and how she's literally a researcher on shame. And when she found out that vulnerability is the antithesis of shame, and talks about it, it's funny and it's insightful and it's moving. And it's only like an hour and 20 minutes. So if you can watch it, I recommend everybody go and seek it out because it's wonderful.
To look into that.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got your show to watch and you're going to send me those books that you keep recommending as well, which I'm now recommending to all my clients as well. So this is good. We're a team here. We pass the information back and forth.
Yes. You have a couple books and stuff coming your way for your birthday, which is coming up, y'all. Her birthday is October 15th.
Absolutely. Libra gang. Yes, I'm going to be the big 4-4. But then my numerology, my life path number is 8. So 448. So it could be a good year. We will see.
Let's see what 44 says real quick. Pulling out the Bible, guys, okay? This is my Bible. 44. 44 says, your guardian angels are wrapping you in a cloak of loving protection. You are safe.
Amen.
Right?
Amen to that, sister. Thank you. But look, this kind of episode was a bit here and there and everywhere, and that's okay because I kind of figured it would be. But we hope that you've had some takeaway from this, even if it's just one little thing that one of us has said. Or maybe you're going through a similar experience in your own life, or somebody that is. We just hope that it's giving you something,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the things that we said to each other when we started this podcast was that we didn't want it to feel like a job because we already have enough jobs between life and work. It's just, we're always expected to do something. So this is just meant to be casual and fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a chat. And like I say, you get to listen to us waffling on. And if it benefits you, then awesome.
Basically, it technically is your turn next week to choose, even though you chose again. But, I'm fine with you choosing again. It doesn't matter to me.
What we've said, though, is that we're going to kind of keep it easy breezy because what we realized is that trying to pick something for the next episode on the spot is can be quite a lot sometimes. So we're going to keep it easy breezy and kind of be like whatever, because we also find that stuff that happens in the week also will then give us the topic. So kind of watch this space, I suppose.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds good. But anyways, guys, as ever, thank you for watching this episode. We hope that you've enjoyed it. We hope that it's given you something, and be sure to give us the usual like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. And let us know in the comments, what was your takeaways from this episode? Has it helped you? If the answer is nothing, that's fine. It's okay. We won't take it personally. But thank you for being here, and we'll both send you so much love.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Have a good one. Take care.